Last time we talked about Pulsecon, it ended up being one of our least viewed videos ever, so sure, let's do that again. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony. Pretty early on in my return to YouTube, I decided that covering stuff straight away, like breaking news, really wasn't my thing. Because between my job, my schooling, my other job, my various household projects, I just don't have the time to be on top of this stuff fast enough to get videos out before more reliable sources of news on the internet. So really, what's the point? Let other people do their thing and I'll do my thing. But I did cover Pulsecon 2022 last year, and I did make a video talking about the new reveals, which ones I was interested in getting, and it was a pretty good show. I actually remember the day that it happened, my wife and I were out and about, and we stopped the car in a Best Buy car park in order to watch the live stream live, and sit there and screen record it so we could use the B-roll footage later when talking about the different figures. We talked about Pulsecon all day long, and we ended up making a video that we're pretty proud of, even though nobody has seen it. And last year's Pulsecon was really, really good. Previously on Pulsecon, we had a lot of Andor reveals. We had the reveal of Mon Mothma, which made me go absolutely mad in the video. And we got a lot of reveals around the then upcoming 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi line. It was a really, really good show. So this year, as soon as they announced what day it was, I saw that I was going to be at work. I requested the early lunch break so I could make sure that I could sit and watch the entire thing in my car and do the same thing again, basically. So why is my Pulsecon video coming out a whole week after Pulsecon? Well, two reasons. First reason being, I shoot my videos pretty early in the week, so by the time Friday rolled around last week, I had already filmed the top 10 Mandalorian wishlist. That was going to be my video for that week, and I didn't fancy uploading a second one, because I didn't want to have my wife need to edit a whole second video and get it uploaded in the space of a weekend. And secondly, because I wasn't really blown away by the show this year. I found myself pretty early on in the announcements switching off my screen recorder and more or less deciding that doing an immediate reactionary response to Pulsecon this year would not be a good idea. I needed time to process my feelings and figure out what I thought. So I've had that now. I've been stewing on this for a week. I'm pretty sure I've got my feelings in order. So let's get in and let's talk about some of the reveals from Hasbro Pulsecon 2023, and I'll give you my thoughts. First up was the reveal of the Pulsecon exclusive Starkiller. Now this is still an amazing set. It looks like fantastic fun. It's great value for money. You're getting 3 figures and a metric ton of accessories for a little over $100. I really can't complain with that. I'm still not sure if I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. I don't know yet. I want to, part of me is like, yeah, I want that. But at the same time, having just dropped $500 on the Ghost, and having had, a pretty busy year as far as new figures goes, I just don't know if I'm in the position to drop $100 on a figure that, in terms of the character, I don't particularly care about. Maybe I can wait for the single pack release and see how that looks, but Starkiller has never been a character that really meant anything to me. I didn't really play the old games. I've watched, online video game movies of the games, so I know the story, and I'm always going to be more of a canon person than a Legends person, and I don't feel like there is space for Starkiller in canon anymore. But we'll see. We'll see as we move along. It's a brilliant set, as I've said already. It looks fantastic, and just the sheer number of accessories make this an easy purchase. I'm just still umming and ahhing on whether it's a purchase that I want to make. As of the recording of this video, he is still available to purchase, and the same can't be said for some of the other figures that we're going to be talking about today. So if it's still a figure that you're interested in getting, go out and get it. I'll talk to my wife about it and see if it's something that we're interested in, or whether we're going to wait for the single pack release, or maybe we'll miss Starkiller altogether. I don't know. But yeah, the Starkiller exclusive looks fantastic. Next up on reveals that we already kind of knew were coming, they revisited and gave us a bunch of new information on Archive 2024. This is the Archive wave that is coming out next year, featuring a New Hope Darth Vader, Bo-Katan, X-Wing Luke, and an Imperial Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper. Now, there wasn't a ton of excitement around this archive wave because of the rather peculiar choices in the wave. Bo-Katan is still pretty readily available over here. Now, yeah, there should always be Stormtroopers available for you to get. I 100% agree with that. X-Wing Luke had a lot of people scratching their heads, but my rationale was it's the 10th anniversary of the Black Series, so maybe they're doing a special 10th anniversary release of their original figure, but then they didn't reference it being the 10th anniversary at all during the reveal. And yeah, there should always be a Vader on the market. I feel like it should be the Empire Strikes Back Vader, but that's just me. So a lot of people in the online Black Series community felt like this was kind of a waste of an archive wave, and while I didn't agree 100%, I was still a little confused by some of the choices, even if I had my own, private headcanon as to why those choices were being made. Well, their explanation for it actually made a whole lot of sense. This wave is going to be international only. It's not going to be available in the US. And the idea behind it is A, to give international collectors a chance to get these figures, because apparently, as it turns out, they're pretty difficult to get overseas. Bo-Katan especially is hard to track down. And B, the idea being to keep familiar, older figures that most US collectors already have off the shelf, so they're not clogging up shelf space. And that actually makes a whole lot of sense. The archive wave is fantastic. It's a great idea to get older figures back out into the market, but if you're re-releasing them to the same people who already bought them a little while ago, and there aren't any major changes like you see with the Veteran Han figure or the Bouche Leia, then really all they're doing is taking up space on a shelf. I mean, we all know how many times they've re-released that Skiff-Guard Lando in the line, and the last two times were pretty close together. So yeah, I feel like nobody in the US was really hungry for these figures anyway. The general consensus was that nobody wanted it. I mean, I was never going to get any of them because I've already got all of these figures. I might have got the Vader, and I might have taken the opportunity to grab a few more Stormtroopers, but X-Wing Luke and Bo-Katan don't need them. So this was really good news, and their rationale made sense. But hold on to that rationale because we will be coming back to it. Okay, so let's get into the actual new reveals that we didn't know about. Now, something I didn't think about at the time when this came out was that we've had a lot of Black Series reveals this year, and particularly the wave that came from the Ahsoka show being leaked and then released and then previewed at a Hasbro event. That was a strange series of events, but right now we have so much new stuff coming down the pipeline, it is unbelievable. So yeah, it made sense that Pulsecon was a little light on actual new figures because they've already talked about the Ahsoka wave. A lot of people already have them in hand, so it didn't really make sense to talk about them. But something that did make sense to talk about was the upcoming Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati figures from Ahsoka. These were the only new reveals that I actually accurately predicted before going into the stream, because the series has been rolling along. At this point, there's only a single episode left, and I cannot wait for it. And two standout characters on the show have been Baylan and Shin. They are fascinating. I always enjoy their scenes together, so I was very, very eager to get figures of them in my collection. Hell, some custom people out in the community have already jumped ahead and started making customs of them. That's how popular these characters are. Now, Baylan looks incredible. He's a big bulky boy. He's got some great work on the armor. I love the decision to include the longer Darth Malgus lightsaber blade to kind of play into Baylan's fighting style of that long broadsword style form that you get from Jedi Survivor. It's a solid likeness and the figure looks great. This one is an easy pickup for me, but I'm going to have to wait until he hits shelves because he has already sold out on Hasbro Pulse. No surprises there. Shin leaves something to be desired. I'm not sure whether it's the face, whether it's the weirdly sculpted hair. I thought it was the color of the hair at first. I thought that was completely off. But then, watching the recent episode, I was like, oh no, she is blonde. She's just not that kind of blonde. I had it in my head that she had platinum white hair, or at least platinum blonde, I guess. And it just didn't translate very well into figure form. The rest of her looks fantastic, don't get me wrong, and I will absolutely be picking her up, but this might be the first instance in my entire history of Black Series collecting where I might go out and get myself a custom head made, because, I don't know, something about that head or the hair doesn't really capture the character that I've come to really appreciate over the last few weeks. But these two look great. They're going to look great together on the shelf, and I feel like I can pull off some really dynamic duo poses, so I'm really looking forward to that. That was all of the new coming out now reveals. There were only 2 of them. Now, there was some one-to-one live-action roleplay stuff. The Captain Rex helmet looks beautiful, and the Ezra Bridger / Sabine lightsaber looked really, really cool. I don't know if I'm going to pick up another lightsaber, but I will absolutely be going after that helmet. So let's talk about the pipeline reveals, because they were some of the most exciting parts of last year's Pulsecon. This year, not so much. You remember that decision to have that archive wave be released internationally so that those figures aren't clogging up shelves? That makes sense until you see that A New Hope Darth Vader is also coming again in the main line. It's gonna be the same figure, I imagine. I mean, I could be wrong, but if it's A New Hope specifically Vader, then I can't see any way that it's gonna be different. The same goes for Season 3 Mandalorian. Now, Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian, sure, he's different. He's got a Beskar spear, he's got the Darksaber, he's got that whole new retooled articulation, but Season 3 Mando, he's gonna be pretty much the same figure, except probably just minus the Beskar spear. So, I don't know, that's an odd decision to bring out again. I've said before there should always be a Darth Vader available in the line, and I 100% stand by that. Mandalorian, I feel like he is available so much already in the line that we really don't need another one, but maybe they'll do something cool with him. We'll wait and see. The third pipeline reveal was a Phase 1 clone trooper, and this one I'm like, yeah, sure, fair enough. Again, there should always be clone troopers in the line. It's been a little while since the Attack of the Clones Galaxy Wave brought us the Phase 1 clone trooper, so yeah, it's probably going to be a welcome addition, especially if it ends up being like the Phase 2 standard clone trooper reveal, which came out and it has a removable helmet, so great. Maybe we're going to return to that again, I'm not sure. The clones only really had their helmets off in Attack of the Clones while they were still on Kamino, so we'll see, it could be good. And then the final Pulsecon pipeline reveal was a Mandalorian Night Owl. Now this is the only figure in this wave that is essentially a new figure, and I use new with pretty loose definitions here, because this is most likely just going to be a Bo-Katan Cosca Reeves repaint. It's just going to be that female Mandalorian body, which is fantastic, is a fantastic mold, and I'm glad that we're getting some mileage out of it, but it's not exactly a new figure, you know, it's a new way of using existing parts. And that was it. Those were all of the reveals from Pulsecon 2023. Now, there's a reason why I decided against doing reactionary content when it comes to news, and that's because, for a similar reason as to why I don't walk out of a cinema, go home and write a movie review anymore, because I've realized over the years that I need time to think. I need time to process my thoughts, get them all in order, because I will happily admit that this confused me. Like, this stream was very confusing to me. I didn't feel like I got my time's worth out of taking the early lunch break and sticking myself with a really long afternoon. I haven't pre-ordered anything. There's nothing on here that makes me go, ooh, I gotta get that and I gotta get that now. And I will admit that I was initially pretty upset. Like, I got pretty upset at the reveals, and I got pretty upset that I was so disappointed. But after sitting on it for a couple of days and thinking through it and discussing it with a couple of other content creators, I've come to realize that it's not always about me. And this is an incredibly hard mentality to get over as a collector. Like, when you see figures being re-released that you already have, it's very easy to be like, why are we wasting a release on this? We've already got this. Well, I've already got it, sure, but it's not always about me. Like, if the subreddit community shows anything, it's that people are joining this community every single day. And not every reveal is for the guy who's been doing this for 3 or 4 years, has over 300 figures in his collection, and has pretty much gotten all of the old figures that he really wants, and is now really only focused on new stuff. So this has really helped me reconcile my feelings about the Pulsecon reveals, because it's not always about me. I imagine there are new members of this community who saw that Pulsecon stream and were just like, oh great, I don't have to drop a ton of money on getting myself a Darth Vader figure, and oh great, they're making the Stormtrooper readily available again. That's brilliant news. I can finally get Bo-Katan, or I can finally get that original X-Wing Luke. You know, I don't know how easy or difficult these figures are to come by if you're ordering online, because I don't go looking for them. I don't need them, so I don't go looking for them. And yeah, sometimes you can get a little tunnel visiony, and you can only really focus on the stuff that you want, but as I've said multiple times, it's not always about me. Sometimes it can be about other people. It can be about reveals for people who don't have this stuff yet, and that's really helped me get past this and get back to a place where, you know what, I'm happy for you. If you need these figures, I'm happy for you. If this was your first Pulsecon, like you just joined the community, you know, welcome to Black Series collecting. Here are some great opportunities for you to get some great figures, and I am very, very pleased for you. There's been a lot of new stuff this year. There have been a lot of new reveals. There are a lot of figures right now that I'm on the lookout for. I didn't need a dozen new reveals coming to Pulsecon, because quite frankly, my wallet could do with catching its breath every now and then. And this idea of revisiting older figures may well be what the next year or so looks like for the Black Series. You know, we've had all the rumors about re-releases, and, you know, Hasbro came out recently and announced, I think they called it like Throwback Thursday or Throwback Tuesday or something. They're throwing it back, they're bringing stuff back, and they're doing it on either a Tuesday or a Thursday, I don't know, man. So while we don't know whether the full list of the rumored figures that are coming back out are actually coming back out, we know that something is going on in the way of Hasbro making these older figures and older collectibles easier to obtain for new collectors. And if that's the direction that the Black Series takes for a while, I'm all for it. You know, let's get these people caught up that want to get caught up. I said in my Healthy Collecting Habits video that I don't care about value. I really don't care. I don't collect these figures so that I can put my imaginary children through imaginary college in a couple of years' time. I collect these figures because I love them, and I will probably have them my entire life, and then one day when I can't look after them anymore, I will pass them on to somebody else who will appreciate them. It is no skin off my back if the figure that I dropped $50, $60, $70 on to buy while it was incredibly desirable comes back out again and is easier to attain for the next collector, because just because I overpaid doesn't mean they have to overpay. You know, if a car is speeding out of control and it's already run over a bunch of people, it's not unfair on the people that it's already run over for me to try and stop that car. You know? New people join this community every day, and this Pulsecon event was for them. This was their Pulsecon, and I'm very, very happy for them. Now, next week on the channel, we're going to be doing one of two things, depending on how the week pans out. Ahsoka is coming to an end on Tuesday. I am very, very excited for the final episode, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it. And originally, my plan was to make that video for Friday that week. You know, I wanted to jump on it while the iron was hot and get my thoughts out there, because I have a lot of thoughts and I'm so excited. But at the same time, I think I want to rewatch the whole series as like a cohesive whole before I make my video. I've already done that a couple of times. I've watched the whole series maybe 2 or 3 times so far, but I would like to have the complete story available so I can sit there on like a day off or a day when I'm not too busy and I can just watch the whole thing. I can make some notes, I can get my thoughts down, and then I can make a really comprehensive video that won't leave me thinking, I wish I'd said that, why didn't I say that? So if I can fit that in next week before Friday and before Thursday so I can give my wife time to actually edit the bloody thing, I will get my Ahsoka review done and out there. But if I don't have time to sit down and watch the whole series again and make a really comprehensive video, then I will most likely just move on, talk about the Book of Boba Fett wishlist, and we can come back to Ahsoka the week after. So we will see how that plays out. With all that said, let me pass the subject off to you guys. What were your thoughts about Hasbro Pulse Con 2023? Did you have a similar kind of experience to me where you weren't really sure about it to begin with, and then maybe you had like, I don't know, some transformative experience over the week and you arrived at a new place? I don't know. Or were you mad about it and you're still mad about it? You can let me know, I don't mind. Down in the comments down below, I'll get back to each and every one of you. If you take anything away from this video, I hope it's that if you ever end up watching one of these live streams, stay out of the live chat, because it is depressing. I actually thought, you know, I'm kind of establishing myself in the Black Series community. Maybe I can have some fun discussions in the live chat. Yeah, no, I clicked on it, I stared at it for a few seconds, and then I was like, you know what, let's not go to the live chat. It is a silly place. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were the reveals from Pulsecon 2023. You may subscribe when ready. That won't leave. Just.